The mother of a schoolboy who committed suicide last August after he was bullied is launching a campaign to highlight the issue. Meena Rayat's 15-year-old son, Brandon Singh Rayat, was a pupil at Judge Meadow Community College and killed himself at home after suffering at the hands of bullies. And as I say, Meena has joined me in the studio to talk about this. Meena, thank you so much for joining us on what I know is a very, very difficult subject for yourself and your family to talk about. But it's something that you, I know, are really keen on talking about because you've now launched a campaign which will be launched very shortly. But just before we talk about the actual campaign itself, just take us back to the events of last year. Tell us exactly what happened to Brandon.
Yes, Brandon was really happy. He was at school. It all started off April 2015 when he started saying he was getting bullied. His friends at school had ostracised him, so they'd ignored him, left him out, calling him like horrendous names. There was some sort of cyberbullying that on his phone. There was somebody who'd made a fake Jimmy Savile account. There was one of his friends that had in his computer class had said, "I know where you live, I want to rape your mom." So there's quite a few things that was building up, brewing up. And then one day he came in and he just had a total breakdown, total panic attack. And from then on, he never got better. He was, refusing school, just for parents to be aware. Me and my husband was working and there was a few clues. He used to say things like, "Mom, do you think I can beat this boy up? Do you think I'm strong?" He started saying things like, "Oh, Mom, everyone's ignoring me. My friends are not talking to me." And I didn't think it would be this serious. I just said, "Brandon," because he was so happy for 3 years. And I just used to say, "Brandon, just give him a dirty look back. It's no big deal." And, he didn't tell us exactly what happened. We found out afterwards, and we are still finding out now the extent of his bullying. He was physically bullied as well. And, just to parents, just please, listen to your children. Just listen to them and just take action straight away, and don't worry about so much their education, because through my experience, your child's mental health is the most important thing, and their happiness is.
Now, Meena, you mentioned that as parents, you and your husband were seeing the signs, you were aware of some of the things that Brandon was going through.
Yeah.
At any stage did you realise just how serious and how affected he was by the whole thing?
Never. I would never, ever. Brandon was such a funny, crazy boy. He always had a cheeky smile, and he was always making us laugh. He was so intelligent. He was highly intelligent. He had really high grades, predicted grades. So motivated, and I could never ever imagine that he could be so unhappy and so affected by what happened at school.
And talking of the school, what was the response of the school at Judge Meadow?
It wasn't a very good response. We was up and down the school, and they said we couldn't find any evidence of bullying, even after there was a medical evidence that he was, he had a reaction to the bullying. They didn't want me to use the word bullying. They said they wanted more concrete evidence to question the children. They didn't take it seriously enough.
So this is before Brandon took his life. You'd actually gone to the school,
Oh,
had
gosh,
you?
yes, yeah. I mean, he refused school when it all happened for 3 months, and then he tried again in September, and then by December 2015, he had refused school for 8 months.
I mean, I can't sit here and imagine what you must have gone through when you discovered what had happened. As a parent, I can only just kind of, think about just how difficult it would have been. And so you've now decided to, I suppose, advise other parents in your situation. Just looking back at your particular situation, was there anything you could have looked at back and said, "Oh, we could have seen that sign"? Or is it really difficult when you're in that situation? Is it really difficult to read?
Brandon's signs were quite strong. I mean, within 2 or 3 weeks, it was he totally refused school. He started having a reaction where he started screaming in his bedroom, I want to die, I want to die. He wouldn't go to school. It was quite strong. He felt hopeless. He didn't want to do his work. He started having a phobia of leaving the house. There's quite a lot of signs. We were checking his YouTube, his online history, and it was full of very negative searches like how to commit suicide, anxiety, and bullying, bully proof. So he wasn't one of these children that hid everything. We knew what was happening, so he was crying out for help, and it just escalated. It was such a really difficult situation, so he was crying out for him to be sectioned, because after the medication, the antidepressants, he actually became very violent, and very scary thoughts he had, and his thoughts were very confused and distorted, and he wasn't like our Brandon. He was a totally different boy.
The signs were very clear from your point
clear.
of view, but it can also be very subtle, can't it? I mean, in particular with families, with Asian families living in extended family structures, there is a lot of support, if you like, and lots of siblings around and stuff, but still this sort of thing can still happen, can't it? What sort of signs should parents look out for when it's less obvious, it's a bit more subtle?
Just being scared to go to school, hiding things, just maybe not eating, or maybe eating too much. There's different signs. Obviously Brandon's signs were maybe different to what another child would go through, but it's look for even little changes in there.
I guess for many people though, Meena, sorry to interrupt you, that children aren't there at times, and sometimes parents think, well, kids will grow out of these things. At what stage does it become, or should it become clear that actually this is going beyond a child just being a child?
I think when you look in their online searches, if they're looking at dangerous things, that that's a big sign. It's very difficult, because when they're 14, 15, there are changes. They're turning into a teenager. I mean, even I used to think maybe this is part of him growing up. But the reason why I've started this campaign is also for the Asian Indian community, because they have this stigma with mental illness. Even my own family, when I told my mom, she thought maybe he's just playing on it and he's just being a naughty boy. There is a stigma attached to mental health, and I think we need to talk about it. Like, there are a lot of celebrities that are talking about it, so that children can connect with them and speak out and talk about what they're going through. Because with Brandon, he was quite a private boy, and I think that's what caused it, because he thought he could take everything by himself. And I think it's very important for children to talk to somebody who they trust and just open up, and don't ever think that only you're feeling like this. It's 1 in, I think, 4 people that suffer from mental illness, I think, or 1 in 10. So you're not on your own. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There's a help out there. You talk about what you're feeling, about your feelings.
Tell us about your campaign, Meena.
Yeah. So I had this idea of a campaign through my experience, I found that Brandon went through bullying. There was no consequences for the bullies. There's nothing to protect victims. So, we've started a campaign which is called Stop Ignoring Me. And this was Brandon's words, because he used to say, they're all ignoring me. And through this campaign, we're hoping to change legislation, criminalise bullying. But obviously before this, we need to do more research and find out why children or adults find the need to bully another person to this extent when they, so that's the main thing. We also want clear guidelines on what is bullying. And
you're launching that on Friday the 19th, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
If, just on a final note, if there are any parents or any young people listening to this program and recognize some of the symptoms, some of the signs you talked about, what advice would you give them? What should they do?
Right, I don't think you should ever dismiss the signs. You should, even if they're little signs, go and see your doctor, go and see a specialist. Just firstly, go to your school, your head teacher, and don't take no for an answer. Just make a fuss of it and make sure you get the help.
Okay, Mina, thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the very best with the campaign, and let's hope that Brandon's life actually helps and influences other parents and young people as well, and gives a very positive outcome. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this.